This is Podnutz Daily for June 24th, 2008. I want to start off by talking about, I got a couple answers, not really answers, suggestions back to me from, yesterday I was complaining about my Mac not having a Mac webcam. Well, it looks like Logitech is going to make a webcam just for the Mac. And it's their 9000 QuickCam model, which, I read a lot of reviews on it. It's supposed to be really good. And they're making a Mac version. I think they're charging $30 more or so, but not really changing anything about the thing. Just, I guess the fact that it's for a Mac means they could charge more for it. But I might actually check it out if it's. I'll wait till it comes out and it gets reviewed, and then we might be seeing an even better picture than what you're seeing now. Even though I'm happy with my Microsoft Xbox 360 camera. Which reminds me also, in a couple of later podcasts, you might have been hearing my cell phone in the background with that. When you put a cell phone near a piece of electronics, it makes that little beep, 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 beep buzz sound. I don't know what technical name, what you want to call it. Anyway, you have an iPhone, and iPhones have got to be the worst device for that buzz that I've ever come across. That my iPhone was maybe 10 feet, 15 feet away, and it was still causing to make a noise on the podcast. I had to put it in the other room, so we'll see how it goes this time. You still might hear something. If you do, I might have to just leave it in the car while I do the podcast. It's crazy. Okay. Had a computer today. It was a Dell Dimension, one of the newer ones that come in the white case. I think it's a Dimension E510 or something along those lines. And customer brought it in. He said his computer wouldn't start. So I told him to bring it in because I wanted to see if it was a power supply or what the problem was. And he says, no, you start it up, and you get the boot screen, you get the Dell screen, and the screen just goes black after that. I'm thinking to myself, it's odd. If you boot a computer up and the screen, you see the flash screen, the Dell screen, or whatever company it is, you usually see an error after that if something goes wrong. Like if the hard drive's corrupted, it might say like it can't find a bootable drive, or if the hard drive's not connected properly, it might not find a bootable drive, something with the BIOS, something with the CMOS battery, some kind of error that would tell us why the computer's not starting or what the problem is. This wouldn't. You'd show the Dell screen, little bar on the Dell screen would go over till it got to the end, and then pure blackness. Nothing, no indications of anything after that. So when I see that, I usually think hard drive because the computer is booted. Like you see the startup screen, so you know the computer's powering on. The power supply is good. You see the Dell screen, so you know that the BIOS and the motherboard may be okay. And then what a computer does after it gets past that flash screen is it starts to access the hard drive. Well, that's the point where we were having a problem here. So I pulled out the hard drive. Well, actually, let me back up a sec. Kept the hard drive in, and I tried to boot into Knoppix, which is a live Linux CD. So I started the computer. I had the Knoppix disk in. Same thing. Dell. You see the Dell screen. The computer looked like it was trying to read the CD, and then nothing. Pure black screen. So I'm like, I don't usually have problems like this where if I put a disk in, it usually overrides the hard drive, and so I know, like, I was just trying to determine if the hard drive was a problem or not. Anyway, I pulled the hard drive out, and the computer actually did start reading a disk when I pulled the hard drive out, but it was just acting crazy. I mean, I put a Windows XP disk in, pretending like I was going to install Windows, and characters in the screen were just completely wrong. Like there was dollar signs where there was supposed to be S's, and letters were just out of place, and it was just wacko looking. So I said, and then I tested the hard drive in a separate machine. The hard drive was fine. So I'm like, all right, what's going on here? Started pulling out the RAM. I pulled out all the RAM except I kept one stick of RAM in. I put the hard drive back in the machine and said, okay, let's see if it's going to be if it's the RAM that's the problem. Well, it was. Computer booted up fine with one stick of RAM, which was 512 they had in there. So, okay, I'm like, good, I know it's the RAM. Now, is it the RAM socket or is it the RAM itself? Well, they had 4 sticks of RAM of 512, which total up to 2 gigs in that machine. So I put another stick in. Started the computer up, worked fine. Put the third stick in. Started the computer up, same thing, got the black screen. So I'm holding this one stick of RAM, and I'm like, okay, it's either the slot that this RAM is sitting in or it's the RAM itself that's bad. So I put that piece of RAM off to the side, pulled the fourth piece of RAM, and I put it in the same slot that I had that third piece of RAM in when it wasn't working. Started the machine, everything was fine. So at that point, I knew that the stick that I put to the side was a bad piece of RAM, and that was causing the whole problem with the computer. So, unless the customer wants to live with 1.5 gigs for a while, which should be fine on XP, he just needs a new stick of 512 RAM, and he's good to go. Okay. I had a computer come in. Now I cleaned up this computer a couple months ago and reinstalled Windows, put a vast antivirus on there, got it up and running, was running perfect. Customer took it home, had it for about a month, 2 months maybe, and then caught this piece of spyware, which you got to be careful for. It's called the XP Antivirus, and they make it look very Windowsy and Windows-ish to make you think that it is something that Microsoft created. I'm sure if you guys have been around and doing computer repairs, you've seen this piece of software. XP Antivirus. Don't know where you get it because I've never gotten it on my machine, but a lot of customers do come in with it. I think Smith Fraud Fix can take this off, but I'm looking at the computer and I said, look, I just fixed this thing 2 months ago. There's got to be a good restore point back to when I actually fixed it, that when the computer was running fine. So I fired up System Restore, and I restored it back to the point in the past where I had fixed it previously, and ran that restore. It actually ran through. It got rid of the XP Antivirus. Now be careful now. When you do a System Restore, you're just changing the registry. So there's still system files on his computer or files on his computer that may contain a virus. But after I did the System Restore, I just run an antivirus scan, and I run CCleaner, and I run the Smith Fraud Fix anyway, and I just run all the things that I would normally run to get rid of spyware, but knowing that I reset the registry back to when I handled it before, so I knew the registry was okay. Just want to get rid of those remaining files that are sitting on the computer, and it cleaned up fine. And actually, I went and installed, thanks to input from you guys and Simon Zarafa. Super Anti-Spyware is a anti-spyware program that I'm going to start trying to use. There's a free version, which I don't think does. I don't think it is a resident scanner, the free version. I think you have to run a physical scan like every so often. I'm not sure. We'll find out. If you guys in the chat know, maybe you can let me know. In real time, Mitch says real time no. Okay, so put that on his machine, and I also took Avast off and I installed AVG 8.0. AVG 8.0 is what I'm starting to put on customers' machines now for this one reason. When I give a customer back his machine, I want it to be almost